lot of people will think, yes, he's done wrong in his life, but look at what he's suffered. Look at those stitches. Look at what he suffered on that night and what he might have done to save lives on that night. Is there not perhaps an opportunity to say, we'll put some things aside because you deserve to be compensated for what you went through?
Well, whilst he may have a number of previous convictions, I think the point is this: since this happened, he has gone on and he has been compensated by not going to prison for racially aggravated assault on 2 occasions and breaching restraining order against his mother. There are guidelines to follow. Whilst over here, 2 separate issues, he is an absolute hero. On that night, what he did was amazing.
That's all that we're talking about compensation for.
Hold on. Amazing. That's what he did. He was a hero. But there are guidelines. And whilst, you know, we can sit here and debate that, he goes on to commit criminal offences. When I'm dealing, or when I used to deal with people who murdered children or paedophiles, there were guidelines I have to follow. That doesn't mean
you know what
to
you
say
sound
that...
like, Sue? I've got great
Go
respect
on.
for you. You sound like a Jobsworth.
No, I'm not a Jobsworth, Piers.
You know,
Well, you know
said,
it, Piers.
I didn't say you are one.
Hold on.
I said you sound like one.
You know,
you sound like somebody saying, we've got rules, and rules can't be broken.
That's so untrue. You know that's
right.
untrue.
So why are you allowing yourself to come over as a Jobsworth? Because here's my take on this. This guy is not an angel, right?
No.
He also, I suspect, has had a lot of trauma since this incident, which may or may not have affected his behavioural pattern, which may have been taken into account for the convictions he had and not going to prison and so on. But we're not judging his character or his angelic nature or anything. We accept he's probably a bit of a rough guy, right? But when it mattered, that night, when people were being stabbed to death by 3 murderous jihadis, this guy stands up, unarmed, and faces up to these 3 guys.
Can I bring some perspective? Let me bring some perspective into this. Let us first of all start by acknowledging humanity in this. Let's recognise that heroes can be criminals and criminals can be heroes.
Yes.
Good people can do bad things and bad people can do good things.
Yes.
Now, I am an activist against racism. We are dealing with a man who is a racist and he's violent. I do not condone his abhorrent behaviour. In fact, I expect the law to be fully enforced on those convictions. But what has happened in this case is that even though the law took into account his heroism in giving him a suspended sentences, the law now decides, or whoever it is has made the decision, decides to punish him retrospectively under a totally separate course of action where he ought to get compensation. Makes no sense. And I'm a lawyer.
Well, more than that, Joe, you're a black woman telling a white woman that the racial part of his background actually should be, and I agree with you, should be immaterial to the heroism on that night.
But that has jack all to do with me being black and her being
No,
white.
but it's just... No, but it's interesting to me that a black woman is defending him against a white police officer.
It should be more interesting to you than activist against racism is acknowledging the humanity in the fact that it's a separate cause of action, because the day he rose up, everything that makes Roy Larner who he is protected thousands of people, white, brown, black, irrespective of faith. When he rose and said, I'm male, or whatever it is that makes him who and what it is. And I think that counts. I'm not saying don't punish him for those. You better punish him. He should be punished for it. But if you choose to give him suspended sentences for those, you cannot then come and punish him when he's both a victim and a hero. There is no logic to it.
Surely this is quite persuasive to you.
Not really, because I'm a great believer. And don't call me a Jobsworth, because actually...
I said you were sounding like
Well,
one.
I'm not a Jobsworth and never
I knew that would
like
rattle
one.
you.
You knew that would wind me up. Anyway, the point is this, quite clearly here, I get where you're coming from, but if we have guidelines, and they are there, and it's under review, you know it's under review, Criminal Injuries Compensation Board, under review because of unspent convictions. And also, as you know, 2017 to 2018, only £154 million was spent out. I have appealed against criminal injuries for many, many years for rape victims. But let me tell you this, I put my money where my mouth is. There's a Just Giving page for Roy, and if you want to put your money where your mouth is, hold on, let me finish, I'll let you speak. £55,000 is there. Why don't you do that? Because my friend this week, her daughter died. She couldn't get any care in the NHS because there isn't any money left. I tell you what we did fundraising.
Right.
To do some
But you say you want to punish...
Hang on.
No, I'm here for a reason. You always talk. So let me
talk. Let us speak.
Let me tell you.
It's our time.
Let me understand
I like
this.
you.
So we're going to punish Roy, right, when he ought to get compensation. because there's not enough money in the NHS to deal with other causes of action makes no sense.
I agree.
And can I just say right now that I am not here to defend Roy Larner. I'm here to defend all of us, because this could easily be any one of us. One day we are good, tomorrow we are terrible, for God knows whatever reason. My point is, yes, we're talking about a racist, we're talking about a violent man. I totally condemn what he's done. But as a hero or victim of those terrorist attacks, are you kidding me? He's sleeping on his friend's sofa because he decided to fight against terrorists.
If I may,
he should receive
permission to
compensation.
speak.
Not now. So he should receive compensation. There has to be humanity.
All right, now I'm going to speak.
Okay.
Here's my point that I would make to you, Sue. Say there's another terror attack, right, on another bridge in London or Manchester or Birmingham, right, in 3-4 weeks. God forbid. We had a spate of them that summer, right? Say there's another attack and there's a guy there or a woman, somebody there who has criminal convictions that have not been spent. And in that moment, they have a choice to make. Do they go and stand up and try and defend young women, children, black people, white people, brown people, whoever's sitting in that bar or restaurant, whatever? Do they make that decision in that moment to do it, knowing if they get seriously injured, this country will not give them any compensation and will not really care about them at all? I mean, is that what we want people to think in that position?
Absolutely not.
So if the answer is no, I think we should do what I would call the common sense judgment, right? I would say 95% of everyone that's responded here, right, agrees entirely with what Shola's saying. This is not an angelic guy. He's done bad stuff.
And continues to do bad stuff.
And continues to be, I would imagine, pretty traumatised by what's happened to him, which may or may not be a factor in some of the bad stuff.
You've got the benefit of knowing all about his past, you know everything about his past, and you know everything about what he's been doing.
But I do know that we have to ask ourselves, do we want people in his position who have maybe a conviction that's not been spent, do we want them to rise up and defend people or not in that eventuality? I do. And it's not an incentive to anyone to do that. If I'm going to get cut to ribbons, my country won't even give me a pound
But critical
of compensation.
to know, like I said earlier, heroes can be criminals and criminals can be heroes. We're all human beings. There's no black and white. More often the case.
And I totally believe in rehabilitation of offenders.
This is not just about rehabilitation. This is about compensation. I mean, and it's really important to understand that he is a victim and he's a hero. This is a separate action. And if you can use that as a mitigating factor to give him a suspended sentence, you don't get to then retrospectively
Well, we all know how this government
him.
works because they will clearly bow down to media pressure. The review is taking place, but I also think, I hope they look across the board at all victims.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree, but this was an exception. This was what I would call an exceptional circumstance.
And this is not just about Roy, it's about all of us. That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm coming from.
I can tell you, if I'm in a bar with my kids and 3 jihadis come in armed with knives,
you don't care what the convictions of the guy.
I don't give a damn if Roy Larner's got a problematic past. If he's prepared to stand up and fight them off to save my life and my kids' lives, thank you, Roy Larner. Honestly. And I'm not thanking him for the other stuff, the bad stuff. I'm thanking him for his heroism in the moment, which was extraordinary. And all right, he's not allowed to get any gallantry medal. Right, we're going to give knighthoods out to corrupt business people instead. Fine, right? That's a judgment call by the government. I don't agree with that. But he can't get any gallantry medal because of his convictions. Surely the least we can do is compensate the guy for being slashed to pieces with 80 stitches to cuts which could have killed him.
Well,
I mean, isn't that the least we can do?
Maybe, you know, it's paying back to society what he's done. And
you don't think he paid back to society?
And he continues to do.
You don't think he paid back to society in that moment?
He
Sue
did.
Hill?
But he hasn't gone to prison, has he? He's also
on saving people's lives from terrorists? No, he hasn't.
Call when he was being convicted. They should have made that judgment call then, because this is one hand of the law not talking to the other.
Yes.
Why didn't they realise that he would be subject or potentially have a right to the compensation?
No, look, we have to leave it.
They should have connected.
You've been great.
Thank you.
Come back again. Sue, you're always great.